Merry meet everyone. Welcome back to Midnight Fantasy Creation. Today I wanted to do a nice winter theme. And I don't know if you've seen these before, but you get a couple of snowmen, and I'm pretty sure these are both the snowmen. Yeah. And then a base to put them on and a fireplace to stick in the base with the two snowmen. And then I am probably going to paint them. For the nice winter season, as a nice decoration. Anyways, I'm gonna put these out of the way. Actually, no, I'm gonna take these out of the package. I probably should have already done that, but thinking about it at the time, some of these might be a little out of shape because it's supposed to be round. And we're going to be doing this with the resin Crete. Oh my gosh, the magic pour from Let's Resin. Magic powder. What is it called? Magic pour. Okay. So I got my scale. It is 3 to 1, so 3 parts powder to 1 part water. And I am going to double my batch. I'm going to speed through all the unnecessary stuff, or maybe even just skip over it altogether. You guys don't need to see me mix things, but I do want to know how much I'm using of everything. So I am basically, for now, going to mix about six ounces of powder to 2 ounces of water, although I may triple this batch. Yeah, I think I'm going to triple it. Worst case scenario, I have plenty of molds all throughout the house that I can use. So I'm going to do 9 ounces of powder to 3 ounces of water. Let's get this started. When you are mixing this, make sure you scrape all of the edges and mix this until it's no longer clumpy. This does set fairly fast, but if it starts to get thick on you, just add a little more water and stir and it'll loosen it. It will loosen it right back up. And please excuse my very nosy cat. All right, that took all 9 ounces. And I'm pretty sure I can put more in here. Worst case scenario, we can always fix that later. I'm going to mix up probably another 9 ounces. Yeah. And then I'm going to pour it. And then when I'm done pouring, I'm going to let this sit probably for a good 24 hours before unmolding it. When it comes to pouring in the figurines, you're going to want to jiggle them a little bit. You can flick them, you can smack them, you can bang them, just not too hard. Essentially trying to release any air pockets you may have trapped. And then you can sometimes even give it a little squish. Sometimes I like just getting it up to the edge to kind of line it a little bit, especially if it's thick enough. I'm going to move this, prop this up against something because this wants to lean. If you do spill some on your table, you can just let it, you can wipe it up with your finger, but you can just let it cure kind of how it is, unless you really need the, especially if you have a plastic lining on your table like I do. And then once it dries, you can pick it off and use it for something else. Let's get the snowman going. I just need a tiny bit more. just need the fireplace and a tiny bit more for that snowman. So I am just going to mix another 3 ounces, and I'm hoping that is not going to be too much, which means this is a big project, and I was not anticipating a larger project. Just keep some small molds on hand just in case. Alright, I am going to let this sit overnight, and I will be back when this is ready to take out of the molds. Alright, so we are back. It has not been 24 hours yet, but I do want to get these out so they completely air dry. It's probably been about 12, which is way more than I need to unmold these, but I wanted time for them to fully air dry and cure, and I thought this was a snowman, but it's a gnome. Oh, it's cute. I know this one's a snowman. I have to go check to see if that one is supposed to be where it's supposed to be, but this is actually a really adorable snowman. And I apologize if I'm off camera. I just want to shift this slightly on over. And then we have the base. And of course, so this is what I was mentioning, because I have plastic covering on my tablecloth to protect it, because I destroyed my other blue one. And this is my nice tablecloth, and I don't want to ruin that. But you can scratch the plastic and get all the powder off and put all the little scraps in a container, and you can use them as fillers. If you ever find you just need a little bit more resin powder. And then, of course, you can wipe the table down and the rest of it will come right off. Anyways, so I tend to save all the little scrappies that come off for filling. Now, I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be for a tea light if you don't use the little fireplace, because you can have a little tea light on here. Then you've got a little fireplace or fire pit that will cover it when you're not using it, which I find this to be really cute. And then you've got your snowman, and either this is way warped out of proportion, or I don't think this, I thought it was 2 snowmen. But I don't remember ordering a little hairy gnome like this. But I think it is warped out of proportion. So I may need to adjust that next time, because I think it's supposed to be more round. But the snowman came out perfectly. I think he's so cute. His knitted little hat. And I can't wait to paint him. And I also bought glitter to get that done. And this is one of our extras. I'm just going to pop that out of our show gingerly. We've got a nice rose that I can paint for another project in the future, or maybe even just turn this into a magnet. And then I've got my other extra that is available on my Etsy store to purchase for you to paint yourself in case you don't want to buy a whole bucket of magic pour to make your own and you just want to have one to paint for yourself, or if you have a loved one that likes to paint things, I have, oh, you got to be careful with this one. I don't know if I just broke it. One of the reasons why I like letting them sit is because they harden. The longer they sit, the harder they are to break, but that doesn't mean they haven't broken before. And I may have gotten a little air pocket in her fin. That's going to be really hard to fix. And I did over pour this, but we've got a little mini mermaid sitting on a stone. We're listening. I want to say looks like she's listening to a seashell. She's got a nice seashell headband. All right, so now I'm going to finish letting these dry completely, and then we are going to get to painting them. I'm not going to paint the rose. I am setting this aside, so this is all set and done for a future project if I need it. All right, so I'll be back when this is ready to paint. All right, so we're back, and this has had plenty of time to dry. Now, I do need to sand this down because it is all bumpy from when I filled it. But I do not have any sandpaper at the moment, so I'll have to do that afterwards. I do want to get this video out on time before winter is over. So I am going to paint it, and then I'm going to sand it. Hopefully be able to sand it on video. If not, you just need to take any kind of sanding paper, basically, and just sand it down smooth. I forget the number of the grits, whether the higher the number, the finer the grit, or the vice versa. I will definitely have to look that up. But you can sand this down and smooth this out. Otherwise, this is not exactly level, which right now I'm not too worried about it since I am just going to be painting it. And then so this is the other snowman, which I do need to fix his nose because I got an air bubble in it. Oh, this one's got a little air pocket in it too. Needs time to dry in order to do that. It might actually be drying time when I get to it. Yeah, so I'm gonna get some powder mixed up real quick. Small little dollop. Now I have my silicone tool I am going to use to fill in those air bubbles. And I have some powder in a cup. That might be too much powder. Hold on, let me tip some of this out. That's better. I'm just going to add a little water in. And we are going to mix it with my silicone tool. Hopefully, yeah, that was too much water. Ooh, okay. So I'm going to let that sit and dehydrate. In the meantime, so I want to do a nice pearlescent base with this airbrush. Now, if you have an airbrush, you can just airbrush it on. It'd be faster and way smoother than brushing it on, but my airbrush is out of commission at the moment, so I will not be using an airbrush today. If you do want to see me use an airbrush in the future, I either need to fix my airbrush or buy a new one. Probably buy a new one because I do know I need to change some of the rubber seals on them that helps keep the air from getting into it to get the airbrush to function properly. And I have not been able to find the replacements for that, so I might just buy a new one anyways. But I want to go over it with this really pretty glitter to give it that, like, sparkly snow effect. And this is a transparent paint with a chunky glitter mix in it. We're going to try that. And then I am going to be using, instead of my silicone mat for a palette, I'm going to be using the parchment paper because I've seen people do acrylic skins with their leftover paint, so I am going to do that because I want to try it out. And I've seen people make some really beautiful jewelry with it, and I think that would look really cool to do for a future thing. So I'm going to do this with a nice base coat. I'm going to use a nice large brush. And of course, I do got sponges from the Dollar Tree. If any of you have ever used nail polish with the chunky glitter or any kind of glitter in it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, using a sponge to kind of make it so I don't need to put a thick layer to get enough glitter on. I don't know if that'll work for this, especially since this is very absorbent.
So we will see, especially since I'm putting a base on it anyways. That might reduce some of the absorption from the resin powder. And I'm probably just going to do one generous coat. So this is going to have a nice pearlescence to it. I mean, snow kinda has a more of a glittery as opposed to a pearlescence, but I still think this would make a very good base for the glitter. So if you see through it, you're still going to see some iridescence to it. And I'm going to fast forward this pretty much throughout. Actually, I'm probably going to talk about what I'm going to do so I can just fast forward through all the painting and stuff. So I'm thinking of doing this pretty blue Caribbean for the hat on that snowman because I think this would look really pretty in a gorgeous light blue. I'm debating on whether to give him mittens or just, it doesn't look like he's got mittens, but I might do a different color for the scarf. And then I really love this purple, pastel purple violet pastel. It's a metallic one, and I'm going to do it for this hat. Oh, so I was saying I found this one. This one's supposed to go with this set. I don't know why I got the gnome. I think it fell out, and I found it with my tote of molds. So I did fill it off camera for you, so we can put the proper figurine on to the base. So we're going to do that purple for her hat or his hat. I don't know if these are girls or boys, and you can make them whatever you want. And then I do need to get orange for the nose. No, I might do black. No, I'll do orange because they're supposed to be. You usually put carrots in the snow for their nose, so I think I'll do orange. And I don't know if I can fill in their eyes with black. I do have a tiny brush. I can try it, but I also do have metallic black that I want to do for the various stone parts to make it look like the coals are hot, as well as these earth tones to get the logs and the stones to look right. And I may have to mix some colors together to darken them a little bit, or even mix them with white to lighten them up. And then for the snowman, I don't want to do the glitter, the chunky glitter like the snow, but I do still want them glittery. So I do have this. This one is a hologram glitter, and this one is a silver argent. I don't know if this will be too chunky for the snowman, so I may stick with the holographic, but I also may mix the two together because I want them to look as sparkly as the snow because they're snow as well, but not like as much as the snow on here. So we will definitely see which one we'll be doing once I get there. All right, this is going to take forever to dry out. So I did just add a small dollop of powder in there just to thicken this up a little bit because that is going to take too long for it to harden on me, and I don't want it to harden all the way, just enough to make it pliable to apply to the nose. And I noticed another bubble that I can fill as I am at it. So I'm gonna speed through this until I at least get the base done, and then I'm gonna work on filling those little noses in, and then I'll probably work on this. If you want more mythical creatures, whether they're big or small, check out our merchandise at midnightfantasycreation.com. Alright, so this is actually drying up quite nicely now. I'm going to put this aside. This paint is actually quite thick. It's not very liquidy at all, and I am having a hard time getting it on anyways, so I am going to just give it a break and see if I can fill this one nose in while I'm letting that dry for a second. Come on, get in there. Now, this can be easily manipulated if you can get it to the right consistency. The problem is getting it to the right consistency and then manipulating it as quickly as possible, or else it will not stick quite right. And then being able to clean it off. Now, it doesn't need to be perfect, like a pointy little carrot nose. I just don't want it to look like it had a bubble there. And I don't need all that gunk on it either. So there's more of a nice rounder nose. And then I just need to fill that one spot in. I'm going to do my best to do this on camera. And there we go. That's filled in. I don't think there's any more holes. And I'm not sure if that's supposed to be like a sweat drop or a melt. The snowman's melting. But it is not on this one, what I can see. And I just got a tiny little air pocket right here in his nose that I should be able to fill in quite nicely. And just to use my finger to smooth it down. That way it does not look like it was even there in the first place. And oh, there's a air pocket right here. And just try to smooth it out as much as possible so you're not leaving any weird markings on it. Alright, so that's good. That should not take long to dry whatsoever. And then I am going to find some place to stick this because it's getting very putty-like, which is really good for if you want to mold something into it, but at the same time, I don't need to. Alright, I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to get back to painting. And I'm not going to put the glitter on this parchment paper because it is thick. I'm probably just going to scoop it out chunks at a time. Hopefully I don't use the whole bottle because I don't know if it's supposed to be that way or if the bottle is just old because no one's buying it. I did get it at Walmart, so who knows how long Walmart's had it on their shelves. But you can also get the FolkArt on Amazon as well as Hobby Lobby, probably Michael's, but... I'm gonna have to let these dry. One color is just pulling up every time I touch it, and I think it's because it's still slightly wet. And the others kind of need a second coat, but they're not going on very well, so I am going to just let these dry and then maybe do another coat once they finish drying. But I think they're looking pretty good as they are. And then, of course, the little fire pit actually has some really cool color textures to it. The rocks, I wouldn't mind the rocks looking a little more rocky, but unfortunately, I am limited to the number of paints I have, and I actually have a lot of paint, but not the colors that I need. So I'm thinking of just letting these sit here and dry overnight. I am going to smush this because I want to make a paint skin with the leftovers to see if I can get any cool patterns or whatnot and see how that looks. I don't know. This paper, this is parchment paper, and it is not. I don't know if I'll be able to peel it off. But we'll see. If not, I'll probably have to go back to using the silicone. Yeah, because I know I can peel it off if I leave it thick enough, but I'm gonna leave that as is. And I'll see you guys when this is dried. Alright, so we're back. And this has had a couple of days to dry, only because it's cooler in the room, and I wanted to ensure it doesn't get tacky, because that's my issue that I was having with this, is my fingers were sticking to it and pulling the paint off. So the paint will actually stay on really good as long as you let it dry properly. So next time if I do something like this, I'll definitely do the hat last because it's pretty much what I'm holding on to while I'm painting. This one wasn't too bad, but there's some areas that I want to go over again, but I want to do the scarves first because they do need another coat. And then I want to fix this. This came out pretty good. This is nice and dry. Like I said, I would have preferred more of like, you know, an actual amber effect, but this actually came out pretty good with like kind of the glow and the shine in it. So I'm happy with that. As for this, the glitter is had very various size flakes in it, and some of them were sticking up too much, like this one right here. It's dried enough where it's just popping off, and I actually don't mind that it's popping off because I don't want all those rough edges, and I'm not going to be able to smooth those out once I get the top coat on. So I am just knocking those big chunks off to smooth this down a little bit, and then I'm going to go over with the fine glitter so you're not seeing all that empty white space. To kind of hide it a little bit, so like this right here, because I don't want it to flake when someone gets it. So that I like that glitter, it's very pretty, but some of those larger chunks, if you don't get them smoothed down when you put them on the first time, they are just going to get rough, sharp, and they're just going to come off. So some of this went down really nice, all the rest of it I got pretty much off. So I want to fix this. And I had to dump my water because the cats, so I just gotta get some fresh water real quick. So I am going to, oh, I thought I cleaned this brush. Apparently I did not clean it good enough. Okay. All right, so I am going to use the holographic silver glitter to kind of just go over and fill in some of these spots. And this is dry, and it looks like it's very thin. It looks like some of it is going to come off really easily, so hopefully this will work. But I'm going to dump some of the glitter and the fresh paint right on top to kind of maybe get a different effect or a pattern. Need too much of this paint. But for some reason, this paint is very thick. I don't know why. I don't think this paint would have been that bad to use with all that thick glitter if it wasn't so, or the chunkier glitter if it wasn't so thick. For some reason, this is very thick, and it's not supposed to be. So I don't know if it's because I got it at Walmart and it's old, or what the case may be, but you are definitely going to have to keep that in mind when you buy paint or where you buy paint. I'm just trying to make sure I have all of the chipped sections covered. There's a spot.
I didn't necessarily want it this glittery. Snow is not this glittery, but oh well. I'm gonna have to find a way to water down my paint a little bit to make it a little easier to work with. It's still very pretty. And I do like it. I just didn't want it that intense. All right. I'm just going to smush this around, give it a little bit more of a fetch throughout, and I'm going to soak this. All right, let's see, where's the pink? This out of the way so I'm not ruining it. Let that finish drying. And don't be afraid to turn your pieces in every which way to get the best angle to see what you're doing so you're not getting paint where you don't want it. And of course, try to remove the paint where you don't want it before it dries. One of the reasons why I wanted to do the white first is so the paint wasn't seeping right in to the snowman as easily, and you can clean that up a little bit and try to get it before it becomes an issue. So that way you're not going over this 100 times with the white and then the color and then the white, because that will be an endless battle and you don't need that. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna let that sit, and I'm gonna work on the teal for this one. Now, if you do happen to make a mess and you need to clean it up, I'd wait until it completely dries and then go over it with white and your other colors that you need. Because I did not wait in between sections, so some of this is a mess from before, and there was no way I was putting any water on this. So if you do this yourself, I would advise you to do these in sections. But for the sake of getting this video out on time, I didn't have the luxury to wait several days to do a section at a time. All right, that's looking good. I'm going to set that aside so it dries for a couple of minutes. And I'm going to grab a little purple to do the top of this, just in a couple of spots where it's a little too light. Because most of this came out pretty good. Right. That one is done. Beautiful snowman. And then we are going to do the blue for his hat. And then I am going to let this sit for another day or so. Let this fully dry. And then I'm going to seal it all. And then we are going to put it in the, I am going to put it in my Ninja oven and bake it that way. But you put it in a cold oven. So when you put the, where did I put that varnish? Enamel. So I'm going to finish it off with the enamel. It's called enamel glass paint. This one is the clear medium. So you can put it over any color and it's just going to dry clear. But after you put this on, you stick it in a cold oven. You heat it up to, let's see, I think it was 350 degrees. And let it sit in there for 30 minutes and then you let it cool down completely.
by itself. Don't take it out, don't touch it. You let it cool down completely, and then you can remove it from the oven, and it will be sealed in. And it's supposed to be waterproof. I haven't tested that theory out. All right, I'm just making a mess with that. Oops. All right, so I will be back when this is ready to do the final top coat, and then I'll show you what it looks like at the very end. All right, this has had plenty of time to dry, and we are going to do the final clear coat to seal it in. And then, like I mentioned before, I am going to put this in my Ninja oven to cure it. So I will be linking this below. I can't find this at Walmart or at Hobby Lobby or any of the other craft stores. I got this on Amazon, and I will be linking that in the descriptions below because you can't, like I said, I can't find it anywhere else. So I am just going to put a generous dollop on one side, and I'm just going to brush it around. And I'm going to do the tops and the bottoms last. And of course, if you see any hair on your piece, get rid of it, whether it is from your pets if you have any, or from the bristles of the brush, because sometimes they do shed or come off. You do not want to seal that in your piece because you will not have an easy time getting rid of it. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to try and move this without touching it, because I don't want to lift any of the paint off. And this is going to shine up the dull matte paint, so if you have a matte finish and you want to have a matte finish, you're not going to want to use this. This is going to shine it up a bit. Still need to sand the bottom of this. So I'm not going to seal the bottom of this until I sand it down. I did get a new sander for Christmas, so I might try that. I'm pretty sure you can do more than one coat, but you are supposed to wait in between coats before putting the next one on. I don't need your help. It's mine. Yeah, Mommy's got a cold. Deal with it. I did put a little too much of this on, so I am just going to apply it wherever I feel needs it. Teams. And this should dry clear, so I am going to let this finish drying and get rid of this little fur ball. And then I am going to do the bottoms off camera and then put it in the oven to cure, and then I will show you. I will have finished pictures of it all done. I'm not going to film the curing process because, well, it would be just me putting it in the oven. I had mentioned earlier that you put it in a cold oven, so what that means is you put it in the oven before you heat it up, warm it up, turn it on. You put it in, you turn the oven on, you set it to 350 degrees, and you let it all heat up together. And then once it's up to temperature, you let it sit in the oven for 30 minutes. And then you let it completely cool down naturally. Don't touch it, don't take it out. I'm not sure if opening the door and letting it cool off faster would be beneficial or not. But you definitely want the whole thing to cool down on its own before you even touch it. And then you can remove it from the oven and it should be cured. All right, so that is it for today's video. Like I had mentioned, I will show you guys, I'll finish pictures of everything. Once it's all done, I'll set up, and if I can find a tea light, I'll put a tea light in there. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, please subscribe. Click the bell. It'll let you know when new videos are released. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. You can also share videos with friends and family who you think would also enjoy this kind of projects. And then, of course, you can go to our online stores at midnightfantasy.com or check out our Etsy store or eBay. And then you can follow us on all of our social media. We are on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, all under Midnight Fantasy Creation. I will see you guys in the next video. Merry part until we can merry meet again. Blessed be. Bye.